everybody, welcome back to the Grindhouse. It's me, Groovy Fox, and today we're coming at you with a quick review for the most recent film in the Conjuring franchise, The Conjuring.
The devil made me do it.
Now, counting all of the spin-offs, this is actually the 8th, that's ocho, film in the Conjuring franchise, and is actually directed by one of the spin-off directors, the director of The Curse of La Llorona, Michael Chavez. Once again, the film stars Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga as Ed and Lorraine Warren, paranormal investigators and eliminators extraordinaire. Now, the premise of this film is pretty straightforward. Ed and Lorraine are involved in an exorcism, and then the spirit that they're trying to exorcise jumps into the body of a young man, and that young man is driven to commit a murder. And the Warrens are called back in to try to prove that the demonic possession was at play in the case in an attempt to try to save the man from going on death row. Now, aside from Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga as the Warrens, this movie also has Rory O'Connor as Arnie Johnson. It has Sarah Catherine Hook as Debbie, Arnie's girlfriend. And it also has Julian Hillard from The Haunting of Hill House as David Glatzel, the boy that they try to exorcise at the beginning of the film. And at this point, I feel like whenever Warner Brothers has a horror movie and they need a reliable child actor, that they quite sensibly just go to the cast of the Hill House series, because Julian Hillard is in this film, McKenna Grace was in Annabelle Comes Home, the third Annabelle movie, and the actress that plays Nell played Violet in Doctor Sleep as well. That's 3 out of 3. It's kind of hard to say that that's just a little bit of a coincidence, right? Just when they're all produced by the same film studio. Just saying. You also have John Noble in this film. I feel like whenever I see John Noble in something, I'm just waiting for him to be evil. I don't know if that's just the Lord of the Rings fan inside of me or what, but it's always that creepy feeling like, yo, this guy about to go all crazy out on us. Eugenie Bondurant also plays one of the villainous characters in this film, which also brings me to some of my positives that I do have to say about this film. This film has great production value, right? It looks really good, and there are a couple of scenes in this film that I really do like. I like the opening scene of the film, opening exorcism scene. I like the scene where Arnie attacks the man inside of the dog kennel. It actually has some cool moments to it. I also like the scene towards the end of the movie, but there are some negatives about that toward it as well. But kind of in between there, not a lot that really stands out to me. This movie does have an interesting villain, but for some reason, I don't think this villain is going to stand out just like the villain, like, oh, Annabelle or the Nun will. I don't think the villain in this movie is going to be getting its own spin-off anytime soon. Now, I will say I definitely do think that it was an interesting direction to go with Bondurant's character as one of the villains in the film, because that changes the dynamic of the story a bit, whereas in the old films, you have evil spirits and ghosts. But in this film, without really getting into spoilers, there are human villains in this film, which definitely changes the dynamic a little bit, because it's not all otherworldly things. There are things in the real world that can actually harm the Warrens or harm the people, or are trying to do harm to the characters in this film. But as far as that goes, that does kind of start to lean into some of the negatives of this film. First off, the producers of the film said when they made this film that they weren't going to make another haunted house Conjuring film, which is absolutely fine to change things up a little bit. But I feel like without having a kind of emotional center, like having a family that's under attack, that it forces them to bring the focus of the film to the Warrens. And by giving the Warrens more screen time, we have to give them a little bit more to do. They try to make a little bit of tension in this film by having Patrick Wilson's character have a heart attack early on in the film, which kind of slows him down and kind of gives him that kind of Achilles heel to his character to try to add a little dynamic to what goes on in the film. And I don't think that it always works. I feel like it's more or less just like a trope that they used just to kind of give him something that was a little bit more interesting, to add a little bit of variety to what he was doing in this film, as opposed to him just being his regular old character without any sort of conflict. And also, by having Lorraine be a more center character, they need to find things to give Lorraine to do, which unfortunately, in my case, it actually is a negative, because they start to expand a little bit on her psychic abilities. Whereas in this film, she's not just kind of communicating with ghosts as a clairvoyant, I guess you would say, but she's also kind of using like telepathy and being able to contact living people, or possibly slight amounts of precognition to be able to sense that there's something happening or something is going to happen, or her ability to be able to find something or somebody using her psychic powers. I feel like that is a very, very fine line to walk. And again, I love Vera Farmiga as an actress. I thought she was amazing in Bates Motel as Norma Bates. And I like Patrick Wilson too. I actually really like his turn in Into the Tall Grass, which was on Netflix, because you get to see some of his more charming side, and you get to see some of his more nefarious side, where he's a bit of a villainous character. So it shows the depth of those actors. This movie, are they phoning it in? I wouldn't go that far, but as I said, they need to start finding things to do. But with Lorraine's character, giving her more expanded psychic abilities, she's one step away from starting a 1-900 number. They really need to be really careful. Other than that, another negative I have to say about this film is there isn't much tension in this film. They spend most of the time focusing on the Warrens. And you know the Warrens aren't in any real immediate danger, right? Because they're the stars of the franchise. And the supporting characters kind of eventually get pushed to the wayside because of it. And that's really unfortunate, especially because there are good actors in this film. And there are some interesting ideas that they have, like that it wasn't really a demonic exorcism, but a curse that kind of starts to bounce from person to person. But that also brings me into another really annoying plot point that they bring up, where they find a book that has the curse in it or something like that, but the curse is written in different languages. So as the movie goes on, they're translating or deciphering different parts of the curse. And then it becomes, oh, they need the soul of a child. Oh, they need the soul of an innocent man. Oh, they need the soul of a man of God. And it's like, that's Julian Hillard's character. That's Roy O'Connor's character. That's Patrick Wilson's character, but they do it in that annoying movie way where somebody gives them a phone call. Oh, I just translated the next part of the evil incantation. It turns out that they need an innocent man's soul. Oh no, they're going after Arnie. We have to make sure that we warn Arnie. Oh no, Ed just left to go talk to this person. They're going to need the soul of a man of God. That's Ed's soul. Too bad he just left and we can't warn him beforehand. Like that kind of crap. That's just lazy writing, people. Come on. All in all, it wasn't terrible. There were some parts in it that I did really like. But then there were just some parts in this movie that were just fucking stupid. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. This was the worst of the Conjuring movies. This, to me, I haven't seen La Llorona. And I've only seen parts of The Nun. But out of the 3 Annabelle movies, and out of the 3 Conjuring, this is definitely the weakest of the Conjuring movies. Honestly, I feel like this is just a hair over the first Annabelle movie and how stupid this movie is at times. And it's not scary at all. There are a couple scenes that maybe, are a little bit scary, but they're mostly jump scares because, again, this is modern horror that's made by a big budget studio, which doesn't really care about crafting anything. They just want to crap out another movie. You can say that, oh, well, maybe that's not the case. Maybe that was just the change behind the camera. But if they changed that behind the camera, they need to get James Wan back, because his visual eye, just going back to watch The Conjuring 2, is just so much stronger than what we see on display here from Michael Chavez. It's really, really weak. Though I guess you could at times say that maybe the Conjuring 2 started to develop more into a visual style that was similar to Insidious, but I like the Insidious movies too, so what are you going to do? What? All in all, let me punctuate with this. My wife loves the Conjuring movies. She bought me the 3 Annabelle movies for Christmas, and I didn't even really like the Annabelle movies, but I watched the 2 sequels, and I really enjoyed those, so I'm glad she did. We've tried watching this movie twice. She fell asleep both times when we watched this movie. The first time, we started watching this at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so this wasn't a late night viewing session. It's kind of boring at times, and that's a shame. It's just a waste of time and effort. They really should have just done a story about the werewolf ghost from the most recent Annabelle movies. I would have watched that. Or the ferryman. If they want to do a spin-off based on one of the ghosts that they've already established, I'd like to see that. Maybe not that haunted samurai armor ghost. I feel like that could get into the realm of camp very quickly, but you know what I mean. There was just better directions for them to take the franchise. I kind of feel like this one was just a gimme, just to get another one out the door to keep the franchise in the minds of people and stuff like that. In the meantime, while they're actually trying to develop a real solid sequel, or at least I hope. When I watch this film, I feel like there's nothing I haven't seen yet in this movie that hasn't been done better in either one of the Conjuring movies or just another horror movie in general. Like, they throw in a really blatant homage to The Exorcist at the beginning of the film, and it's just like, why? This isn't a possession exorcism kind of movie. This movie is really more like a weak-ass version of The Exorcism of Emily Rose. And that movie's way better than this movie. Go watch The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Better yet, maybe go watch Scott Derrickson's Deliver Us from Evil. That was a better movie than this. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you made it all the way to the end, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you guys don't miss out on any more reviews that I'm going to be coming out with. Also, in the video description, I'm going to leave a link to my Twitch channel. I stream every Tuesday, usually playing whatever I feel like for an extended period of time. Come on over there, talk to me about movies, argue with me about your opinions on this film. I don't care. I just want to talk about movies with you. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe, stay scared, but most of all, stay groovy. We're out here.